Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Talking Disney Magic, a show all about ranking and reviewing the biggest films in Disney and Pixar's catalog and talking about the biggest news in the House of Mouse, including Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, and so much more. My name is Adam Bankhurst, and I'm here as always with the wonderful Vanessa. And this week we're doing something a little special because we're not going to be ranking and reviewing a movie because we actually have the incredible Danielle Kelly, aka the Dapper Danielle, to talk all about her book, I Love Disney's Magic Kingdom. Danielle, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Good morning. Well, or whatever time you're listening to this podcast at, y'all.
Exactly. Morning, night, wherever you are, we're here for you. It's great. But no, Danielle, we're such big fans of yours, and we were so happy when they reached out that we got a chance to read your book, which is such a huge accomplishment and such a great thing.
Thank
So,
you.
before we kind of get started, I know a lot of people know the incredible Dapper Danielle, but for people who don't, like, who are you and why should people like this book?
Well, hello, I'm the Dapper Danielle. And if you do not know, or maybe you're just hearing me from the author's side, I actually started my journey off as air quotes are being put on screen that you can't see right now, a Disney influencer. And I am the Dapper Danielle, and I talk about random Disney things in the middle of the night that you probably don't care about, but I'm going to tell you anyway. And through those random Disney things is how I was reached out to by Simon and Schuster to say, hey, would you be interested in taking your random Disney knowledge and break it down into a book? And I was like, okay, sounds great. And that's why we're here now.
The book itself is obviously called I Love Disney's Magic Kingdom. So was that always the idea? Did it kind of evolve? Like where did you kind of nail this idea that we're going to focus on Magic Kingdom and that's where we should start?
Well, what's funny is that when this book was coming into fruition, right? So Adams Media does a lot of the unofficial Disney guides, and they wanted to do a small little blurb style that's not your typical guidebook. I'm not telling you how to make reservations. I'm not telling you how to purchase tickets, all that other stuff. This is more of something you can take into the park with you to be able to walk around and keep yourself entertained, and then also be like, "Oh, hey, we're in this section. Let's see what Danielle says about it." And the book actually, they reached out to me with the intent of, okay, maybe we can get a different author for every book, but it would be consistent in the style.
Hmm.
And then I was the first person they reached out to, and now it's a contract by contract basis. So I'm having to fight for every single book to see if I get back to write about the next one. I can confirm I am writing the next one about another Disney World park. But for
So
Disneyland, we
exciting.
actually have our friends Sometimes Castles over there. They're currently writing the Disneyland one,
Hmm.
and they're like, no, no, Danielle, you just focus on the Disney World side. I was like, but I know a lot about Disneyland too. But it ends up working out great. We love Sometimes Castles.
Oh yeah, that's an exciting thing. So that book is kind of be in the same style a little bit. It's going to be similar in a sense.
It is going to be similar style, but as you read through it, you can definitely read, okay, this totally sound like the Magic Kingdom one, it sounds like me.
Yeah, right.
The Disneyland one, it sounds like them. So even though the styles and breakdowns are very similar, it still reads true to us.
So Danielle, but before you got into Disney, tell us about your Disney journey. Like, how did you become like a Disney lover? Like, tell us a little bit about what inspired you to go to Disney, love it, and all the things. What's your first core Disney memory? And tell us all about your Disney journey.
Well, I was born a Disney child, really. So a lot of this actually does stem from Dapper Mom and Dad, right? So Dapper Mom and Dad honeymooned in Disney World at the Contemporary Resort back in the 80s. And Dad has fond memories of going in the opening year to Epcot. And it kind of just became that safe haven that they would just like, okay, it's something easy to get to. It's always clean. It's always great to go to. And they're coming from South Florida kids, so from the West Palm Beach area. And so it'd just be a couple hour trip up there, spend the weekend, and then head back home. And that became the norm for me. So from a very young age, like maybe at 4 or 5 months, I was staying over at Fort Wilderness Campground as a child. And it just was a regular happening ever since then. And with the rest of my siblings, even when we moved out of state to Ohio for a brief time period, no, Dad was the one that said, I think we need a trip to Disney World. And mom and us were just like, we didn't suggest it. This is all on you, man. And so we would go, like, Dad would find a way to be able to get down to Disney World, sometimes 2 to 3 times a year.
Nice.
And so it just stuck with me. And it just from the incredible, as I got older, the incredible cast member interactions and just hearing like their stories and asking questions and them being like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I look at them and I'd be like, I want to be a cast member, but I also want to be a veterinarian of pandas, but only pandas. And then as I got older, I realized I couldn't be a veterinarian of only pandas. So cast members are a little more easily grabbable. So
Yeah, that sounds
I
right.
did, right, accurate. Um, so I ended up applying to be a cast member, and this was supposed to be just a part-time summer job the before I graduated high school. And I applied. I got an interview. It was during the middle of the school day, 2 weeks before school got out. And I went in for my interview, and they're like, "Yeah, when can you start?" I was like, "Well, my senior trip is actually next week." And they're like, "Wait, how old are you?" I'm like, I already signed the line. You can't take backsies on this job, dude. You did ask my age." And so y'all don't skip school to be able to go to a job interview, but I will say it did work out in my favor. The So from there, life happens. That part-time job became a full-time job, and I was with the company for 9 years after that. And what was only supposed to be a couple months. And I did everything, children's activities, general recreation, doing like arcade redemption, boat rentals, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique.
Were you the fairy godmother at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique? Is that what I read too? Or you had a little time as
Well,
that?
okay, so because that's something, as I explained it to Adam's Media, they're just like, "Oh, so you were the fairy godmother." I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I was a fairy godmother apprentice.
Ah,
Fairy
gotcha.
godmothers have to train for 1,000 years until they become official fairy godmothers, and we were
Long time.
not very good fairy godmothers. So I was the one doing all the little girls' hair and putting on the pixie dust, and it was such a great time. I really loved that job. And then I moved into merchandise, trainer, coordinator, training facilitator, POS front of house system support, a bunch of one-off little jobs from there too. And then when the world shut down, they said, "Hey, so you're gonna have to quarantine for a couple weeks. We don't know how long it's gonna be." And I was part of a very small jewelry store at the time, and I was a coordinator. And they're like, "We got to stay connected." And some of my college program girls and some of my part-timers were like, "Hey, Danielle, you should download TikTok and make goofy videos to send to us." And I said, "Sure." And kind of the rest from there is history.
Yeah, well, that's pretty exciting. That's, it's so great, and I love to hear that you kind of got your dream of, becoming that cast member because, obviously people think of the rides and the attractions, but like, Vanessa and I talk about these parks all the time. It's so much about the people. It's about
Oh
those
yeah.
magic moments where they go above and beyond it. So, I mean, as a cast member, like, did you feel that from the inside? Was it like kind of everything you hoped to be? Obviously, there's ups and downs and days and things like that, but was it kind of just as good on the inside?
I think yes. I think for me, in all my roles, I did learn very quickly of I am very much a people person.
Yeah.
If you are not a people person, don't go into the roles I just mentioned.
Yeah,
The
definitely not.
right, exactly. So when being in like general recreation and like especially children's activities, being in children's activities, playing the poolside games, being basically the little DJ at the cart, setting up the movies at night, that was such a great time. I mean, it was hot in Florida, but it was a
Right.
great time, even with the mosquito bites. And from there is where I was like, okay, but how can I get an even more in-depth interaction with these families instead of just randomly on a pool deck for a day?
Right.
And then that's where the boutique came along, and that was just as much of a very heartfelt interaction.
Yeah.
But through my roles like POS front of house system support, which is point of sale system support, I was in a trailer behind Porter Leans, and I was testing out the chip readers before they rolled out to property, and I was figuring out how to break them. And I learned very quickly I cannot do that role. And
Yeah.
it's not that I couldn't do the role itself. It's I was surrounded by very intelligent people that would rather I am me in the same room rather than turn around and ask me a question. And I said, "Oh, honey, I love this for you, but this is not for me."
Right.
So
Yeah.
being that
Danielle,
people
I'd like to
person,
say it's you want to be where the people are. That's what I
I
think to myself. I
yeah,
want to be where the people are.
I want to be where the screaming, sweating kids are. Yes, literally, yes.
Exactly.
I know. Well, it's so great you kind of got to experience that and do that. And obviously all of these experiences of this being the Dapper Danielle led to this book. So let's kind of spend the meat and potatoes talking about I Love Magic Kingdom. So like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's a great read. It's a easy read to kind of. I love how it's broken down by land, so you feel like you're in a land, you know where you're going to go, and obviously the quizzes and the tips and that. But like, how do you condense all of this into one piece? And what were kind of like when you started? Were you like, these are the things I can't wait to write about?
You know what? There was a lot of that. So basically, that's where Ian Wilson, my co-author and my brother-in-law actually got involved. He is a professional writer for big corporations in his normal day job. And I was like, okay, I'm basically going to take all my knowledge, I'm just going to put it out on paper, add in all these facts. And I presented it to Adams Media, and Adams is like, okay, we're going to cut out all of this because this is too many words. And then went to Ian. I'm like, they're taking out important information. And Ian would grab my hand virtually, of course, because we're doing this over Zoom. And he's like, Danielle, no, that's almost too much information, and you're going to really confuse some people. Remember, this is supposed to be able to be read by people that are going to the parks for the first time and people that have like been to the parks 100 times. You have to find that happy medium. So he was really the one guiding me through that and kind of talking me off the edge of being like, "Oh my goodness, they didn't include this information." And he's like, "Danielle, save it for another book.
Yeah,
Save
there
it
you
for a
go.
TikTok. It's not that big of a deal."
Yeah, I'm a writer for IGN as well, so and I write a lot about Disney stuff. So I feel like I feel the same way. There's like so much inside of us that we want to just shout from the rooftops. And like sometimes
Right.
it is great when an editor can come and kind of trim it down. It feels like they're kind of taking away your children some of the times, but a lot of times it
Ah.
works out. And I think it does read really well. I will say the book really flows so nicely.
Thank you. Yeah, and we wanted to do the bite size similar to my videos, right? So that way, if you're in line somewhere or you're about to transition in a queue area space, right? So maybe you're going into the Enchanted Tiki room and you're about to see the pre-show and you're like, oh, what does Danielle see about this? You can read the section about Clyde and Claude probably within the span of time before they actually come out and do their little performance. So that's really what it's designed for.
Yeah, that's super exciting. And so, I mean, I think one of my favorite things, I'm like, a huge Disney history buff and all about the little things. And like, I think one of my favorite things that stuck out is even like small stuff, like at like Tony's restaurant, where you can see Lady and the Tramp's like paw prints on the floor, like seeing Figaro, which we'll get to in a second, like at Pinocchio House. Like, I love those little things. Those are like my favorite stories. So, like, what were some of your favorite stories that you really want people to kind of look out for when they're going to the park?
I want people to look and realize the details they're not written out sometimes. Like the Lady and the Tramp paw prints, I think are a great example. The Figaro you mentioned, but even more in depth into that, and like Country Bear Jamboree, for example, the put in mention of, okay, these two characters are in reference, one to a Disney legend and the other one is to Mary Poppins and some other specific details in like a resort that never came to be,
Yeah.
right? And it's one of those things that you would never know as a regular guest unless somebody told you. So that's really what I wanted to highlight and point out.
Yeah, I think when we go to the parks, we talk a lot about, again, the cast members make everything so special and they tell you all these little tidbits or facts or things you wouldn't know. And that's really what makes all these things special. And I think you mentioned too, the Keys to the Kingdom tour. I did that. I'm a Disney adult. We honeymooned, my husband and I, in Disney as well. So I was like,
Yeah.
nod to your parents. Yes, I understand. But I was kind of curious to do like a little bit of a lightning round around like favorite ride.
Favorite ride, in Magic Kingdom. Oh no, I'm panicking already. The let's say Big Thunder.
Oh, why?
Because again, I think if I had to think of a real ride, if it was going to be attraction, it might be Country Bears. But if it's specifically the ride style attraction, it would be Big Thunder Mountain. Mostly, I don't know. I am on a Western kick right now. And like the whole idea and storyline of Big Thunder, there were so many additional things I wanted to talk about it. But knowing that the refurb was coming up, I didn't know what was going to be staying, what was going to be taken away, and what's going to be added here 2.0 version. So I really I'm excited to touch up on that later on in an updated version of the book.
What's your favorite Disney snack or meal at the Magic Kingdom?
I would say favorite meal has been whatever I've been getting from Skipper Canteen here recently. I have had some really
Great
good
place.
dishes from Skipper Canteen. And when I don't know, Magic Kingdom's not necessarily my favorite park to eat at, but Skipper Canteen knows where it's at. They have enough flavor. It's very filling. It's not heavy necessarily, depending on what you get. And that's good park food.
What is your favorite land?
Weirdly enough, I do think it's Adventureland,
Ooh.
surprisingly. And I did not realize this about myself until I was writing the book. Like, I was reading through and I'm like, I have so much information on Adventureland that nobody else really talks about. I was like, man, am I an Adventureland girly? Is this me? I just that's where I happen to gravitate. If I had to choose to walk through a section of the park, I will try to cut through Adventureland versus anywhere else. Like cutting through Fantasyland, I'm like, okay, yeah, but if I go this way, I can cut through Adventureland, and I do it subconsciously, and I don't even realize it.
My favorite ride is Pirates, so I can understand.
And so, Danielle, we talk, obviously, we had the lightning round, which you did incredible on, of course. But I kind of want to speak just to spending these last few minutes talking about kind of Magic Kingdom as a whole, because obviously it's a special thing for you. It's your first book, starting at Magic Kingdom. It's great. And, one of the quotes that really stuck out with me from this book is when you said the reason because Magic Kingdom plucks us from our reality, takes us on adventures, transports us to the land of make believe, and gives us hope for a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day. Guests come here to make memories with their families every single day, which really is the most powerful magic of all. So, just kind of jumping off that and just adding anything like, what does Magic Kingdom and what is Disney, like being a Disney, fan and have your whole life, what does it mean to you and why is this just so special?
It's so special to me. I mean, basically for the quote that you read right there. I think that really sums it up. And I think as I gotten older and realizing it's not just a park, it's not just a theme park. It literally is, and Walt designed it this way to be an escapism from reality and like literally creating a water barrier between reality and the fantasy land. And I just think that's so cool. And to look at that from a like taking a step back, looking beyond the okay, the merchandise, looking beyond the attractions, just seeing the intent that was there, I think is so cool. And I didn't really appreciate that until I got older and after I worked with the company. But then after you take that step back and seeing, okay, this is the grand overall picture, to zoom in even beyond the attractions and everything to see, okay, how does this operation work? Who are the people that make this possible? And the history of like I mentioned it in there, General Joe Potter. I do a whole section on him and how he was pivotal in doing all of this and making Disney World work, and how he had previous experience working on the 1964 World's Fair, and before that was a actual general working on the Panama Canal. And that's how he knew how to handle the crazy swampland of Florida and why we even have Disney World and why it even works at this point.
That's amazing. And I think it says it so well in the book. And I think it's so worth a read. And we're so excited for other people to get their hands on it. And kind of before we wrap everything up, we do have here at Talking Disney Magic, we kind of rank and review all the biggest Disney and Pixar films. So I don't know
Ooh.
if Noel sent this to you, but I just put something in the chat of our current rankings. And we kind of want you just to give a little top level thought and maybe give us your favorite Disney movie, if that's even possible.
Oh, that is hard. Okay, I do love your tiers though. I think this is great of S tier, A tier, B tier. Okay, and we're including everybody of like,
So yeah, we're about 37 weeks in. So we do like
wow.
a new one and then an old one. We kind of go back and forth and do stuff. So it's
We
kind
took
of
the top Disney 100. That's where our
yes.
list came from. Was what for the 100th anniversary they came up with the 100 top animated movies of all time, and so we took that list, and that's how we're going, old and new. And
Wow.
yeah, we're 37 weeks in. Some people disagree with they say some more choices are interesting, but so I would love to know, is there anything where you're like, oh yeah, that one seems like it's in a weird place, or I disagree, or
Or
anything where
you
you feel like
agree.
the right spot?
No, I do agree with a lot of these. I think what's funny is my mind for Pixar movies, I would not consider a lot of them necessarily S tier. Toy Story 3 though. Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree with. Um and Lilo and Stitch is obviously a fantastic movie. That was my movie growing up as a kid, where it was one of the first DVDs we owned in our home, and we watched it. Well, I watched it so much that the original DVD we had broke and it stopped working.
Oh my gosh.
But
That's how
I
you know you're
knew,
doing it right.
oh my gosh, yes. And I watched all the bonus features and how they had like the clips of the like animators and working on like watching the kids do the hula and the original kids choir there. I watched those so vividly that I actually try to teach myself the hula originally from the show. And yeah, I was that kid. I was obsessed with Lilo and Stitch for a while. And oh my goodness, I love the list though. I think this is great. I think for if I was going to add another one into, let's see, like a top tier for me, but you have Cinderella in there. I think that one's great.
So
A
good.
Princess and the Frog, though,
Oh yeah, that
I
We
is.
think
haven't
is
gotten
gonna
that far
be
yet. It's gonna be
okay. Well,
good.
I'm gonna say Princess and the Frog. Once you get to that one, I expect it to be either an A tier or S tier.
Yeah, spoilers, it's going to be pretty high. We
Okay,
love that
okay,
one
good.
too.
Danielle, if you want to come back anytime to talk about a movie with us, we would love to have you back.
Oh,
Watch a
for
movie, talk
sure.
about it. It'd be
It'd be
so
really fun.
fun.
Yes, especially good memories with Princess and the Frog.
Oh
I
yeah.
I love them so much.
It's so good. Well, Danielle, I know our time is running short. So, first of all, we just want to thank you so much for being a part of the show. And I kind of wanted to just give you a chance to let people know, like, how can people get your book? Is it out now? Like, and how can they follow you and stay in touch with everything you're working on?
Yeah, so obviously you can find me on all the socials. I am the Dapper Danielle on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, Facebook, like literally everywhere, just not on the Twitter/X or whatever it is. And I also, you can purchase the book literally everywhere. So it's on Barnes Noble, Books a Million, Target and Walmart. You can buy it online also, or wherever you get your audiobooks for Spotify Premium members. It's already included if you want to do the audiobook. And it is my voice. I'm
Oh, that's
actually the one
awesome.
that's narrating it.
Amazing.
It is a little more polished Danielle though. So it's like, welcome to the Magic Kingdom. So it is a little more of that voice. But it's wherever you get your audiobooks at. And some of you have already found it on Amazon, but you can kind of see a preview of the next one that's coming out.
Yeah, very exciting. Well, we'll leave that to them. But I do want to kind of leave this conversation on a comment I got because I shared that we were talking to you and I got a wonderful message that I just wanted to end this on. It was from Mom Skateer, and she wrote one thing mentioning is Danielle herself. I don't know if she realizes, but she's become a part of Disney for a lot of us. My kids recognize her in the parks, and she always takes the time to take a pic and chat with them. She has become part of the iconic Disney childhood memories, and I know for more than just my family. That's why there's a literal line of people to meet her on Dapper Day. She's part Disney fan, part historian, and part magic maker. And I thought that just summed it up so beautifully, Danielle. You're such a treat, and we're so thankful for everything you've done, and so glad you're getting this recognition and do this. But it's really glad to see and finally be able to tell you how awesome you are and get a chance to talk to you. It's really special.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's almost it's a lot, y'all, when I get so many sweet messages just like that and
Yeah.
the comments, especially here when talking about my book and talking about the last signing in Tennessee. The outpouring of love and support. It's sometimes that part is a lot for me. And I cannot tell you how overwhelmingly grateful I am for it and how much it means to me.
Awesome. Well, Danielle, thank you so much for joining us and talking Disney Magic. And like I said, you're always welcome back. It's an open door. We'd
We'd
love to
love
have
to
you
have you
back and have
back.
more time.
For
It'd be so great.
sure.
But until then, everyone go check out her book. I Love Disney's Magic Kingdom, wherever you get your books online. You can listen to her voice. It's all great and stuff. And follow her at the Dapper Danielle. And of course, Talking Disney Magic is a show that goes live every Thursday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for these awesome special bonus episodes where we get to talk to incredible people like Danielle. But until then,
Night night, sleep tight, dream of churros tonight.
it's perfect.
Perfect.
No better way to end it. Thank you all so much. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye bye.